right, Raiders Nation. Let's dive deep because this week has been an absolute roller coaster, and there's a lot to unpack regarding our beloved Las Vegas Raiders. Now, I know a lot of fans are watching closely, analyzing every play, every coaching decision, and every quarterback move because this season has been a mix of frustration, hope, and, let's be honest, some absolute head-scratching moments. Heading into the upcoming games, especially the one against the Philadelphia Eagles, there are so many factors at play that make me nervous, but also keep me intrigued. The Eagles, for all their talent, have been showing cracks, and it's hard not to notice just how inconsistent they have been. Monday Night Football last week was a perfect example. Philadelphia's offense, which should be one of the strongest in the league, looked anything but dominant. Jalen Hurts struggled mightily, throwing multiple interceptions, including a fumble, and just overall failing to find a rhythm. The fact that a team like the Cowboys could overcome a 21-0 deficit against them and then beat them shows that Philadelphia's offense is far from a finished product. They lost to Chicago in a game where they should have been able to establish dominance. And even in the recent matchup against the Chargers, despite being technically a road game for Los Angeles, the Eagles struggled in front of their home fans. What this reveals is that Philadelphia doesn't seem to have a clear identity at the moment. Their inconsistency is glaring, and even seemingly small moments, like the good vibes bunny rabbit in the locker room, spark tension among players, showing that something isn't clicking internally. For fans like us watching the Raiders, it's both a potential opportunity and a source of anxiety, because if this struggling Eagles offense finds even a moment of clarity, it could spell trouble for a team that's already navigating a tough season. Now, looking at our Raiders, the situation is complex. I've said all season that this team isn't as bad as the record might suggest, but it is undeniably the worst coached team in the National Football League right now. Coaching decisions, missed assignments, and general mismanagement have made winning feel like an uphill battle almost every week. Pete Carroll's leadership, or lack thereof, has been glaringly evident. He has a reputation, obviously, but this season, the results are painfully clear. And then there's Geno Smith. Watching him this year has been frustrating because the potential is there, but the execution is missing. He seems to be crumbling under pressure, hesitant in the pocket, and far too concerned with protecting his stats rather than pushing the team forward. It's not that Geno doesn't have talent. He does, but the way he's been handled in this offense and his inability to take decisive action when the moment demands it has held this team back from achieving anything significant. When you pair that with the Raiders' offensive line, which has had some bright spots despite injuries, it's clear that much of the struggle falls on the quarterback and the coaching approach. For instance, against the Broncos, the offensive line performed admirably, showing that the pieces are there, but without the right decision-making and leadership at quarterback, it doesn't translate into wins. This is where the tension for Raiders fans comes in. Do we hope Geno Smith turns it around and wins games, or do we recognize that keeping him in the lineup may actually be our best chance at the #1 overall pick? It's a strange position to be in as a fan, rooting for development while also secretly hoping for a better draft outcome. Then there's the backup situation. Kenny Pickett showed flashes of life when he played, and his mobility, his ability to extend plays, and his confidence contrasts sharply with what we've seen from Geno. While Geno hesitates, Pickett can read the field and act instinctively, qualities that are often underappreciated but crucial in high-pressure moments. Aiden O'Connell, or AOC as fans call him, brings a different energy, a leadership quality that commands attention, even if his skill set is still developing. Having these options creates both opportunity and anxiety because it's unclear which combination of players gives the Raiders the best chance to lose or, paradoxically, win. If Geno stays healthy, the team's ceiling seems capped by his performance. If he cannot play and Pickett or O'Connell steps in, suddenly, there's a chance the Raiders could play inspired football, catch the Eagles off guard, and make things interesting in ways that would otherwise be improbable. This makes preparing for the next game a strategic headache. The NFL is a league where preparation and tape study dictate outcomes. Backup quarterbacks, by definition, present a challenge because there's less tape to study and defenses can be caught off guard. This is why teams like the Raiders often find themselves in these unpredictable scenarios where an underdog victory is possible, even if the broader season context points to failure. It's a delicate balance that keeps fans on edge, knowing that one turnover, one inspired drive, or one lapse by the opponent could completely shift the narrative. As we consider the coaching and preparation side, it becomes clear why Pete Carroll's approach is under scrutiny. Decisions about who plays, how the offense is executed, and even timing of press conferences reveal an organization that is struggling to maintain control and clarity. Raiders fans have seen the team stumble through the season, losing games they should have won, not due to talent alone, but due to mismanagement and questionable in-game decisions. The combination of an inconsistent quarterback, erratic preparation, and a coaching philosophy that seems out of step with the team's needs has resulted in a record that does not reflect the talent present on the roster. There's an inherent tension between wanting to see the team succeed and recognizing that sometimes, for long-term gain, losing strategically may be the path forward. This is a sentiment that doesn't sit well with many fans, but it's a reality in professional football. The number one overall pick can change a franchise's trajectory if managed correctly. Then you layer in injuries, game day uncertainties, and the psychological edge of revenge games, and the complexity only deepens. For example, facing a former player like Kenny Pickett against his old team introduces motivation and unpredictability that can disrupt standard expectations. Philadelphia may underestimate the emotional firepower that a player with history brings, and that is precisely why Raiders fans must consider both sides of the coin. The team could lose, securing draft advantages, or it could rise unexpectedly and make the game competitive, creating more nervous energy among supporters. The nuances of quarterback readiness, play calling, and opponent tendencies all come into play here. Watching the Raiders this season has been a lesson in managing expectations, understanding that the game isn't just about talent on paper, but how that talent is harnessed, coached, and executed under pressure. Every week, small decisions compound, and the outcome is rarely a reflection of a single factor. At the same time, there's a level of fascination in observing the Raiders navigate this season. While the frustration is palpable, the potential for a late-season shakeup exists, especially when considering the Eagles' recent struggles. Philadelphia's inconsistent offense, highlighted by turnovers and inability to capitalize on leads, means that even a team like the Raiders, struggling under coaching limitations, has a window of opportunity. If the Raiders can exploit these weaknesses, if Pickett or O'Connell steps in with energy and clarity, it's possible for the team to disrupt expectations. Yet, that very possibility is what fuels nervous anticipation, because the same elements that could allow for a win, motivated backup quarterbacks, opponent errors, turnovers, also make the outcome highly unpredictable. Raiders fans are left balancing hope, fear, and strategic patience, watching each practice, each press conference, and each injury report with a mixture of anxiety and anticipation. This delicate interplay between team performance, coaching decisions, quarterback readiness, and opponent inconsistency creates a landscape where every play matters, every decision is scrutinized, and every game becomes a narrative of tension, potential, and unexpected outcomes. It is the type of season that tests fans' patience, challenges conventional expectations, and forces a deeper understanding of what makes professional football so compelling. The Raiders, in many ways, are a study in contrasts this season: talent versus execution, potential versus coaching limitations, opportunity versus risk. The upcoming game against Philadelphia encapsulates all of these tensions. Will the team rise to the occasion, or will it falter in ways that have become all too familiar this year? Watching this unfold is both nerve-wracking and fascinating, a reminder that football, at its core, is as much about strategy, preparation, and decision-making as it is about raw talent. Continuing with the Raiders' story, let's dive even deeper into what makes the next games so pivotal and nerve-wracking for fans. The reality is that the Las Vegas Raiders have been a paradox this season. On paper, the roster has talent, but translating that into wins has been a challenge due to a combination of coaching deficiencies, quarterback struggles, and a lack of cohesive execution. Every matchup becomes a mental chess game, not just on the field, but in the locker room and in preparation for opponents. Geno Smith's presence as the starting quarterback has been the most significant variable, not because he lacks ability outright, but because of his cautious play style and tendency to prioritize personal stats over team momentum. Watching him take sacks instead of making decisive throws or hesitating in critical moments has created a season-long pattern where potential wins slip through our fingers, leaving fans frustrated but oddly fascinated by the drama unfolding every week. The contrast becomes even more pronounced when backup quarterbacks like Kenny Pickett or Aiden O'Connell step onto the field, displaying mobility, confidence, and an instinctive feel for the game that seems to be missing from Geno this year. Pickett's ability to extend plays, read defenses on the fly, and deliver accurate throws under pressure demonstrates how much of the Raiders' struggles are situational rather than systemic. If these backups were given more consistent reps or confidence from the coaching staff, the narrative around this team could be entirely different. But as it stands, the tension between wanting to see the team succeed and secretly hoping for strategic losses is palpable. The Eagles' matchup adds another layer of complexity because Philadelphia is far from the unstoppable machine many predicted. Their offense has been erratic, and even with a roster full of talented players, they've shown a vulnerability that the Raiders could exploit. Jalen Hurts' inconsistency and the team's turnover problems expose cracks in Philadelphia's armor. But capitalizing on these weaknesses requires precision and execution, areas where the Raiders have historically struggled this season. The challenge lies in the Raiders' preparation and coaching. Pete Carroll's approach has been questioned at every turn because his decisions in practice, in game planning, and in managing the quarterback situation have often failed to maximize the roster's potential. The season has been a study in how leadership impacts performance, where every missed tackle, every delayed call, and every questionable decision compounds into losses that, in some cases, could have been wins. Fans watching week after week experience a mix of anxiety and anticipation because they know the team is capable of more, but unlocking that potential seems just out of reach, trapped behind cautious quarterback play and erratic coaching decisions. Injuries further complicate this equation. Geno Smith's shoulder, while not reportedly serious, introduces uncertainty. If he cannot play, then the reins fall to Kenny Pickett or Aiden O'Connell, both of whom bring a spark and unpredictability that could either inspire the team to overperform or expose weaknesses due to limited experience within the current offensive system. This uncertainty is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it creates a glimmer of hope for an upset, for a moment where the Raiders finally put together a complete game. On the other hand, it heightens anxiety because the lack of continuity at quarterback can easily derail preparation and execution, leaving the team vulnerable to a disciplined opponent, even one with recent struggles like Philadelphia. Watching tape from Broncos games shows how Pickett's mobility and decision-making differ from Geno's cautious approach. Pickett extends plays, makes accurate throws under pressure, and shows confidence, whereas Geno often appears hesitant, retreating under pressure and failing to execute in critical situations. The contrast highlights how much the quarterback position influences the Raiders' overall potential, turning what should be a straightforward evaluation into a high-stakes guessing game for fans and analysts alike. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers out of Las Vegas have taken on a life of their own after a supposed outburst attributed to Pete Carroll circulated through back-channel chatter late last night. The story, born in dimly lit press boxes and message board corners, claims the veteran coach lost his composure behind closed doors, allegedly declaring that the Raiders currently have 2 locker room cancers and that he intends to eliminate both. No one seems to know where the line was first overheard, who repeated it, or whether it ever left Carroll's mouth in the first place. But the phrase has become the spark fueling a full-blown storm of speculation. Whatever the truth, something feels off around the Raiders' facility. Assistants are said to be walking on eggshells, players are described as unusually tight-lipped, and the normally upbeat energy associated with Carroll's presence reportedly feels unusually muted. Some insiders insist it's nothing more than a brief, emotional flare-up twisted into a dramatic storyline. Others insist the tension is real enough to taste, even if the quote itself never existed. Sports radio hosts have taken the rumor and run with it, tossing out theories about veteran personalities clashing over leadership, younger players bristling at discipline, and a team culture trying to absorb Carroll's trademark intensity. It's all smoke, but there's so much of it that fans are starting to wonder whether a fire is smoldering beneath. Carroll, for his part, has made no public comment addressing the whispers, which only adds more oxygen to the blaze. In the absence of clarity, imagination takes over. Who are the supposed players at the center of the drama? Are they stars? Depth pieces? Does the coaching staff truly see them as disruptive forces, or is this entire saga nothing more than a rumor spun out of thin air? For now, Las Vegas finds itself buzzing with uncertainty. Whether this becomes a footnote, a flashpoint, or a full-scale shakeup remains anyone's guess. One thing is certain: the Raiders' locker room, real or rumored, is suddenly the most talked-about space in the league. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.